Potresti cominciare, no? Mostra questo.
Sì, questo
eventualmente intervieni anche tu, sì, dei
sì.
due triangoli.
Sì.
It was a sketch that I made with you after a discussion, so this is the result. So we have the double pattern of two triangles facing each other under round
Circular system.
Circular pattern.
Okay, Prof.
Let's go.
Okay, Prof. Thank you for your availability, Professor. And now this is one of the projects which we developed during this laboratory.
Yes.
And it is the focus of the project was Nile Basin Vision 2030. And what are the main highlights of this group or this laboratory, Professor?
Yes, it's quite clear. For instance, this is the outcome of a discussion we have together, if you remember, Mohamed, done with a vision of how we'll develop the main urban system. And I fixed you through this sketch the two main patterns that will be developed along the Nile Basin. So we have in the north a first double triangular pattern with the three main towns in the north, Alexandria, Port Said and Cairo, and then a central element in the Aswan. Then we have the second triangle with the three focal points are Khartoum from one side down to Aswan, then Juba and Damascene, with other small town along this Blue Nile and the White Nile. Basically, Medan and Nida.
Medani and Sinai.
Yeah. And the other, in the White Nile, we have this Malacca. Yes. This is the first big pattern. So, to me, it seems very important to imagine what will be this mega trend they are ongoing. But this is true. Region. There will be surely in the future the city regional pattern. I mean, if I have to make a sketch of the future, that's a reliable sketch. And the second one is also, so you see here you have this, you have to transport this pattern on this part of the Nile Basin. And here in the center, along the big lake places, the Victoria Lake, we have a circular pattern. Along this circular pattern, we find a lot of capital also, or in very important town, included Entebbe, Kampala, Jinja, and then this is for Uganda. Then we have Kisumu in Kenya and other Kisumu. And from Tanzania we have Bumba, Namza, Mwanza, excuse me, and Minuma. Just to stress how this development will happen, more or less, with this circular pattern. I know I am an architect, so the shape is important. Around this circular pattern, there is also social development. I mean, the fact of staying around a circle is not staying along a triangle. It's different. It's much more cooperative. I mean, that could be, the lake also will help probably a more cooperative than the triangle. I mean, just like here you see easily the geographical situation in 2015, and we see here certain forces, the population density, for instance, and we made in the 2030 an evaluation of what will be the impact of such kind of group. Population growth. And you see here how the two pattern we invented in some way will happen. And you see, in fact, that according to this pattern, you see that around just these area, you see, will be reinforced in terms of density of population. It's very clear this is lighter than this is more dark, you know. So, and you see how the density is visible also if you made just a visual simulation. Here we have made by students with some mistake. It's not I mean, a scientific thing, but it's just a sort of a draft.
No, it was good. Draft. It was good, Prof.
Yeah, but there are some mistakes. You know,
mistakes in the statistics and numbers.
This is a study made with through me and you with students, but there are mistakes. But in some way, this kind of drawings tables explain very well how is the situation of individual states. I mean, how, for instance, here you see plus 193 million of population, you know. So that in some way will have an impact. In the future, in all this area, we will pass from 475 million of people to 669.
Even
you understand?
more,
It's evident. It's more a third, a global third of the population. So how, the problem is how the politicians will be able to manage such kind of problems. Me, I'm an architect, so I'm thinking and a planner. I'm thinking in terms of vision. But vision for what? For which purpose? The vision is in terms of habitat. Me, I'm interested in habitat. You remember, Mohamed, that we did a deep research on the possibility of doing an underground habitat architecture. Yeah. Because I'm thinking that if you don't want to spoil the land, you must be forced to find an alternative solution, which seems crazy in some way. No, why doing
horizontal expansion?
Yeah, if you want save energy, if you want save land that can be devoted to growing crops, you have to forcefully to find a new solution, and the underground is just something existing in the world, the underground architecture. So when we focus on that, so here you see, for instance, we try with a different team of students to find a solution, alternative solution for different towns in order to evaluate how the expansion made through different architectural pattern will impact will impact on the nature, on the soil. How, for instance, just to explain, how high-rise building or living unit or one-family house will impact in terms of land and urban expansion. But from the other side, a typical lot that contain the possibility to grow crops for people will be a choice. So I want to help politicians in order to make some choice, you know, some choice. Look at here, for instance,
Juba,
that's one of your favorite towns. If we choose, for instance, such kind of building pattern, which is for instance, skyscraper apparently save land, you know. So you put 10,000 people in a skyscraper, just by example, you save it. So, but what is after that? You see, you can just bring this small part of Juba expansion. By the way, if you use the typical Le Corbusier idea of unité d'habitation, living unit, you can have you can pass for 16 square kilometer to 46 in terms of land use. And if you pass, for instance, we used some pattern just existing, a duplex small unit, not the unité d'habitation. You see here how you you use in terms of land more. You pass from 16 to 92 square meter kilometer. And here, how many people you can lodge for a square kilometer. So that is quite interesting. I mean, that's a political choice. I mean, you want to concentrate, but so you have to preserve land, because normally what's happened, you concentrate and then you also exploit the land, so you don't leave the empty space. So we evaluated through the very interesting, you remember, you were very attracted by that, how the expansion, what will be the most interesting choice to do in terms of saving space. What is the balance? You have to choose, but it's important that you find the result in terms, for instance, of building impact, of expenses of production, energy production, land needed, system service, lifestyle. It's important. You see the different patterns. Look from the unité d'habitation to the skyscraper. So it's a matter of decision. That's dealing with Juba. Yeah. Look at, for instance, Nairobi, the satellite town of Tatu City. We made this evaluation, also it's interesting. We focused on this pattern, which is low-rise building. I mean, monofamiliar.
Low stories, yeah.
The 2 stories building you see here. And what is the impact of this settlement, ongoing settlement, in the boundaries of Nairobi? That is a choice. But how this pattern will impact the future, we have to evaluate it. We have to take an account. I mean, it's very, very important. Again, the sub-city of Lideta, at the same time, we see here how this kind
informal settlement.
Yes, the informal settlement can in some way influence, and at the same time, how we can help a better organization of the community, no? In order to use community vegetal gardens and meeting place. So in order to improve the informal settlements, that's another topic, because there are a lot of settlements. When I was very young, in the 80s, I was working in Tunisia with a team in order to improve the informal settlement. This was one of the topics of the 80s I was focusing more. We demonstrate how we can improve informal settlement, just reorganizing some space, public space, just a small square, providing electricity and destroying 10 houses, 10 form, because such kind of settlement was I quote in French, c'était des constructions en dur, that means strong, using, for instance, bricks instead of iron, I mean, you know, or boxes of iron. So this is another very important issue, how to transform the informal settlement using the energy that was put in there and also the money they use. So I'm convinced that that's one of the key for solving the problem, in the future problem, and how to avoid the informal settlement, or in some way how to control and design, by the way, the informal settlement. And this is another Casa Khartoum. And you see here, we find here how this kind of pattern could be interesting for an alternative sustainable settlement. I mean, is the famous pattern of the a small courtyard, you know, that this is a very ancient pattern of human being, the courtyard. So how you protect a space and then you grow inside the protected space. This is another, we evaluate also such kind. So we were able, after, by the end of the course, to evaluate so we can also to give such kind of idea to politicians, to decision makers, because you have to help the decision. But you can help the decision only if you know. If you know. We can also here sing. Oh no, that's all right.
Okay, for Khartoum, I think, Prof, we have to mention that we are going to conduct a further deep research together with other researchers and scientists from universities in Sudan or other universities working on Sudan, because of the importance of Khartoum being the confluence of the two Niles, and most of the construction around Khartoum is consuming.
This was stressed by stress, you remember?
Yeah.
Well, this is just some drawings, just synthetic drawing, but the work you remember was much more richer than that.
Okay, thank you very much for this.
It's a pleasure.